Are we ready?
I think a queer archive is something that's very alive. I don't think it's an archive in a traditional sense, because our history has been never really properly recorded. It's always been passed down in some form of legacy or some form of story or post, or like, this is what she did, here's a grainy clip and this is what happened here, and actually this is what's happening there. It's all told through word of mouth instead of written down accounts like you've seen in a normal archive, and I think that's what keeps it so alive and fresh.
You try and find out things about certain things in queer culture and you can't find it. Like it's underground or it's just a word of mouth. Like it's not like jumping onto the internet and being like, oh, let me know about all this stuff to do with drag queens. No. A lot of what we do isn't preserved in like a professional public platform. Like it's, most of us have it on Instagram or YouTube. Like, and even at that, it's not necessarily for anyone else. The preservation of like queer culture, I think, needs to be improved upon. As to how we do that, I'm not really sure, but I mean, I guess it starts by making more media, more content, more for people to see.
Well, in 2020 during the pandemic, I, like many people, took a foray into drag. And this was the Beauty Bay palette that I bought for about £20 that I've had for 4 years. When I started drag, it was bad, so I stopped. And it wasn't until a couple of years later, due to my trans identity more so, I picked this back up, which led me into going back into drag. And I've had this for 4 years. I just actually bought a new one a couple of weeks ago, and it was actually quite crazy seeing like how much damage I've actually done to this to the point where you can't even see out the mirror over the 4 years I've had it. It's probably a biohazard.
My Chanel coat, that's what I call it, because it was made by Chanel O'Connor, who is currently on, or was on, season 6 of Drag Race. Sorry for anyone that's not watched it, that's a spoiler. I messaged Chanel, and because she just has this mind for it, and she obviously has done so many of them, it just looks so pretty. Like, I use this for reveals, I use it in loads of numbers. I used it last night, I did Popular from Wicked, and I had like my Glinda ball gown underneath, and like I threw this off, and like it just all tied in. It was like that moment when I was like, oh, I have like something that's just mine, can't be anyone else's. Cut!
Wait, wasn't there supposed to be a third queen?
Every single time I was on stage, something went wrong. So then that's when I then took Danni's Disaster as part of my branding. So this is the base of one of my heels. It was from my first open stage that I done, and 3 seconds into performing, the heel snapped off of the shoe. I ended up giving myself soft tissue damage into both of my knees. That was like the first time that I had like a string of 8 shows where every single time I was on stage something went wrong. So then that's when I then took Danni's Disaster as part of my branding, all because this shoe broke. I feel like especially in Glasgow there's like quite a big move to like preserve queer culture, because you've got like Ponyboy who are actively like putting art installations out and like photography shoots all throughout Glasgow. You've got like trans, like queer people in photography that are just on like a random poster in like a random place in Glasgow just showing off queer art. I feel like it's becoming a lot more mainstream, a lot more like acceptable to be like queer and show queer art.
Drag for me has opened so many doors. Like, I probably wouldn't have came out.
For me, drag is, it's my artistic expression, it's being stupid and just, I do drag to make like an audience laugh.
I think my brand is not only stupid, it's also very blunt.
My journey in drag, in terms of the makeup and figuring out like a character, that all came over years and years of like just self-understanding, I guess. I love that when I'm out of drag you couldn't really tell who I am, whereas like when I'm in drag I feel like there's a bit more of a free spirit there.
I do it to be social and like let myself be like very extroverted.
Like, that's probably my favourite part of it. Is there are two different people or two different parts of the same person.